Hi guys, so welcome to Python for Data Science. Here we're learning Python for Data Science on this YouTube channel. And in this playlist, in the Python playlist, we'll be looking at nested loops. So the question here should be, what are nested loops? Right? Nested loops in Python is a loop inside another loop, right? So there's an inner loop which is executed one time, and obviously one iteration for the outer loop, right? So you have an inner loop and there's an outer loop, and the inner loop will be executed first before the outer loop. So that's what a nested loop is. And the next you want to ask, why nested loops? How important is that? So you can use nested loops for a lot of things. You can use, so let me see, why, or rather use cases for nested loops. So there are a bunch of use cases that you could use it for data processing, right? You can use it for data processing. You want to iterate through different data sets, right? And also you can use it for matrix operations, right? You could use that when you're playing around with 2D arrays, and also you could use for matrix operations, right? I think you can use that. There are a bunch of other things. You can also do nested data structures. You can have nested data structures. So that's another one, right? So now what we're going to do here is that we are going to look at nested loops, right? So the first thing I want to do is I want to create a nested list, right? I don't know if I've talked about a nested list before, but yeah. So I don't know, I'll call it let me call this a programmer underscore profile. I know this is pretty long, right, for a name, but I just want you to get an idea. So I'm going to create a list, right? And so we have a list over here, and I'm going to put a list inside of it. See that? Like a nested list. Inside of it, I'm going to have the programming language, the programmer profile has, and how long the programmer has written that language. So that'll be 6 years. So next, I am also going to have another programming language, say JavaScript. And the idea here is this guy has written JavaScript for 8 years. And then the final one is I'll have, what language am I going to use? Let me use Ruby. And let's say this programmer has only written Ruby for 3 years. So now we have a list here. So this is a nested list, right? So we have that. Now we are going to come below here or go below here, and we're going to write a for loop, right? So in this for loop, I am going to say for, in this list, in the programmer profile, right? So we're going to create our first nested loop here. So we're going to say print, pretty simple stuff, right? We use an F string so as to make it readable. We're going to say print programmer profile. So we're going to look at the programmer's profile, and inside we are going to put in a curly brace what we have as lists. So this is what we're going to have here. So we close that. Again, we're going to go for another for loop. Interesting, right? Now we're going to say for item in LST. So you see, again, that same guy. So we have so we have the first one. And so now we're going to say for item in that list. Then here we are going to print, right? Will I call it a profile item? Right, that's what I'm going to call it, profile item. So we have the programmer profile, then we have a profile item. So here, I'm just going to say profile, oops, oh yeah, I have to put an F here. And no, I don't want to use that. I'm going to use profile item. And I'll point to something. I'll say, oh, profile item. And that profile item is going to be this item in here. Can I close this? Yes, I hope this works. Right. So check this out, the programmer profile, Python, 6 years. You know, I can basically make it 6 years here, right? But Python, yeah, so the profile item is Python and 6, the programmer profile is JavaScript and 8. So basically, the intuition here is simple. So think of, so I was thinking of how I would explain like a better intuition for the nested loop, right? And so think of it this way. And shout out to ChatGPT because it was classic. I looked through it and they say, think of it like a clock with a minute hand, right? So we have the minute hand and then we have the hour hand, right? Now, every time the minute hand, you know, goes full cycle is 60 minutes, right? And then the hour hand moves 1 hour. So you see that? So minute hand does 60 minutes, hour hand does 1 hour. So that's, think of it that way. So the minute hand here is the inner loop, right? That's what it is. And the hour hand here is the outer loop. So that's exactly what's going on here. So we basically have the first one having to execute, right? And once the code runs, the first thing is the outer loop will extract, you know, it will extract what's in the list and print them out. So you see that? That's the first thing you see. It just extracts what's in the list, in the programmer profile list, and it brings it out. Then the inner loop, you know, will extract each item. See that? The inner loop does this. So you see, just like I mentioned here, minute hand, this guy. So that's basically what happened when you are using a nested loop. So take your time and watch this video over again to get, you know, an idea of what nested loops are. I tried as much as possible to make it basic. If you think it's pretty complicated, please just drop, you know, a comment in the comment section and I'll know. So yeah, so like, subscribe, and share with your friends who are trying to start out data science but need to learn Python. Right? Later.